Captain Diana Frost stood at the helm of the UES Hyperion, her eyes fixed on the mysterious signal that had brought her ship to the edge of the Carina Nebula. After 15 years of deep space exploration, humanity had grown confident in their understanding of the cosmos. That confidence was about to be shattered. "Captain, the energy signature is unlike anything in our database," Lieutenant Marcus Wung reported from his station, dark eyes narrowed at the readings. "It's as if space itself is folding." Before Diana could respond, reality rippled before them. A massive vessel materialized from seemingly nowhere, its surface shifting like liquid mercury. The bridge crew fell silent, watching as the alien ship hung motionless against the backdrop of stellar clouds. "All stations battle ready," Diana ordered calmly, though her heart raced. "But weapons tight. Let's not start an interstellar incident." The alien vessel made no aggressive moves. Instead, a transmission cut through their communications, speaking perfect English. "We are the Veiled Ones. We come seeking those who dare to shine in the darkness." Diana exchanged glances with her first officer, Commander Jackson Reed, whose weathered face showed the same mixture of curiosity and caution she felt. "This is Captain Diana Frost of the Earth Exploration Ship Hyperion. We receive you." "Your species intrigues us, Captain," the voice continued. "While others cower, you venture forth. While others hide, you announce your presence to the cosmos. We must speak." Hours later, Diana sat across from Ambassador Kilrix in the Hyperion's conference room. The alien's form seemed to shift between solid and ethereal, four arms folded gracefully as its opalescent eyes studied her. Behind it stood two guards whose armor rippled like dark water. "You must understand, Captain Frost," Kilrix spoke, its voice resonating with ancient wisdom. "We have watched your kind for centuries. Your determination to explore, to advance, despite the dangers. It is both admirable and dangerous." "Dangerous?" Diana leaned forward. "How so?" "Because there are things in this universe that hunt the bright ones, the seekers, the builders." Kilrix's form shimmed with what might have been emotion. "We are among the last of the first races, those who saw the rising of the current galactic age. We chose to hide, to develop technologies of concealment and evasion because we learned the price of visibility." Diana felt a chill run down her spine. "What exactly hunts the bright ones, Ambassador?" "We call them the Void Hunters. They are ancient, patient, and ruthless. They seek out civilizations that reach for the stars, that burn bright with achievement and ambition. And they harvest them." Commander Reed shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "If these Void Hunters are so dangerous, why reveal yourselves to us now?" Kilrix's form solidified slightly, becoming more distinct. "Because your species has already drawn their attention. Your radio signals, your quantum experiments, your bold ventures into deep space, they have noticed, and they are coming." The revelation hung heavy in the air. Diana's mind raced with implications, with questions, with the weight of responsibility suddenly thrust upon her shoulders. "We offer you what we offered others," Kilrix continued. "The technology to hide, to fade from view, to survive as we have survived for eons. Join us in the shadows, and your species may yet endure." Diana stood slowly, her decision already forming. "With respect, Ambassador, humanity has never been good at hiding. We've faced extinction-level threats before, ice ages, plagues, our own destructive nature. Each time, we've survived not by cowering, but by facing our challenges head-on." Kilrix's form rippled with what might have been surprise. "You would choose to fight against an enemy that has destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours." "We would choose to stand," Diana corrected. "And perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needs right now. Not more shadows, but a light bright enough to push back the darkness." The ambassador's guards shifted uneasily, but Kilrix itself seemed to study Diana with new interest. "Countless species have faced this choice, Captain Frost. All chose survival through concealment. You would be the first to choose differently." "Then let us be the first," Diana replied firmly. "But we don't ask you to abandon your ways. Instead, help us. Your knowledge of the Void Hunters, combined with humanity's determination to fight. Perhaps together we can achieve what neither of us could alone." As she spoke, new signals appeared on the Hyperion sensors. More veiled one ships decloaking around them, a fleet that had been there all along, watching, waiting. Kilrix rose, its form now fully solid, more present than it had been before. Your courage is either humanity's greatest strength or its fatal flaw, the ambassador said. But you are right about one thing we have hidden for too long. Perhaps it is time for a new approach. Diana smiled grimly. Then let's talk strategy, ambassador. Because if these void hunters are coming, they're going to find something they've never encountered before. A humanity that knows they're coming and refuses to hide. The stars seemed to shine brighter outside the Hyperion's windows, as if bearing witness to a moment that would change the course of galactic history. Humanity had been given a choice between shadows and light, between hiding and standing tall. They had chosen to shine. The United Earth Council chamber buzzed with tension as holographic displays showed the approaching threat. 6 months had passed since first contact with the Veiled Ones, and humanity had spent every moment preparing. Captain Diana Frost stood before the assembled leaders, her uniform crisp despite having just returned from a 3-week mission mapping void hunter movement patterns. Their fleet is larger than we initially estimated, she reported, manipulating the holographic display to show vast swarms of ships moving through the darkness between stars. But thanks to the Veiled One's intelligence, we now know their weaknesses. General Marcus Chen, the newly appointed head of the Earth Defense Coalition, stepped forward. His weathered face showed the strain of endless preparation, but his eyes burned with determination. The Void Hunters have never faced an enemy that knew they were coming. For millennia, they've relied on the element of surprise. That advantage is gone. The council chamber erupted in discussion as tactical overlays appeared, showing Earth's new defensive networks. Orbital platforms bristled with hybrid weapons, human ingenuity combined with Veiled One technology. But it wasn't enough. Everyone knew it wasn't enough. In the observation deck of the lunar base Alpha, Diana found Ambassador Kilrix studying Earth through the vast windows. The alien's form was more solid these days, as if prolonged exposure to humanity's defiance had strengthened its own resolve. Your people work with remarkable speed, Kilrix observed. In 6 months, you've achieved what took my species centuries. We don't have centuries, Diana replied, and we're used to working under pressure. Indeed, Kilrix turned to face her. But you should know, some among my people disagree with this alliance. They believe helping you will only draw the hunters' attention to us after eons of successful hiding. And what do you believe, Ambassador? I believe we have hidden for too long. The universe grows darker each time a civilization falls, each time we watch and do nothing. Kilrix's form shimmered with emotion. Perhaps humanity's madness is exactly what the galaxy needs. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert. In the command center, General Chen was already reviewing the data when they arrived. A Void Hunter scout ship had been detected at the edge of the solar system. Earlier than expected, Chen muttered. They're testing our defenses. Diana studied the tactical display. Or they're confused. We're not following the usual pattern of civilizations they hunt. No attempt to hide, no panic, no disorganized resistance. Then let's confuse them further. Chen's voice carried the weight of command. Captain Frost, you have command of the UES Hyperion and our first response fleet. Show them what happens when humanity decides to strike first. The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. Diana stood on the Hyperion's bridge, now upgraded with Veiled One technology, as her fleet of 20 ships moved into position. The Hunter Scout was still probing the outer system, unaware it was being hunted. All ships, weapons free, Diana commanded. Remember your training. These bastards aren't invincible, they just never had to fight someone who knew their weaknesses. The battle that followed would be studied for generations to come. The Void Hunter Scout, caught off guard by the coordinated attack, found itself trapped between conventional weapons and phased energy beams that could track its dimensional shifts. For the first time in recorded history, a hunter vessel fell in combat. But victory came at a price. 3 human ships were destroyed, their crews sacrificing themselves to maintain the attack pattern that prevented the hunter from escaping. Diana stood in silence as the debris field cooled, honoring their sacrifice. "The real war hasn't even started," Commander Reed reminded her softly. "No," Diana agreed, "but we've proven something today. They can bleed." Back on Earth, the analysis of the destroyed hunter ship yielded crucial data. In her private quarters, Diana reviewed the findings with Kilrix and General Chen. The hunter's technology was incredibly advanced, but it had weaknesses, especially against weapons they'd never encountered before. "They've grown complacent," Chen observed. "Millennia of unopposed hunting has made them predictable." "Perhaps," Kilrix cautioned, "but do not underestimate them. They will adapt. They will return in force." "Good," Diana said firmly, "because we'll be ready. Humanity isn't fighting just for itself anymore. We're fighting for every species that ever hid in fear, for every civilization they've destroyed, for every voice they've silenced." The next few weeks saw the largest military buildup in human history. The Hyperion's success had proven that victory was possible, and humanity threw itself into preparation with characteristic determination. Ships were retrofitted with hybrid technology, crews trained day and night, and new weapons were developed based on the captured hunter tech. But the most significant change was in the veiled ones. More of their ships appeared each day, dropping their cloaks to join the defense fleet. Kilrix's words about humanity's influence had proven true. After eons of hiding, some of the veiled ones were choosing to stand and fight. Diana found herself working closely with a veiled one captain named Zix, whose tactical brilliance complemented her aggressive strategy. Together, they developed new battle formations that leveraged both species' strengths. "Your people's courage is infectious," Zix commented during one planning session. "We had forgotten what it felt like to stand tall." As the weeks turned to months, the solar system became an armed camp. Early warning systems extended to the Kuiper belt, and fleet exercises ran constantly. Everyone knew the hunters would return in force, but instead of fear, there was determination. In her quiet moments, Diana would stand at the Hyperion's viewport, watching the combined fleet maneuvers. Human ships flew alongside shimming Veiled One vessels, their crews learning to work together to trust each other. They were writing a new chapter in galactic history, one where the hunted chose to become hunters. "We're ready," she told Kilrix during their final planning session. "Whatever they send, we'll meet it head-on." The ambassador's form had solidified completely now, reflecting the Veiled One's growing commitment to the fight. The Void Hunters believe they are the apex predators of the galaxy. It is time they learned that even predators can become prey. As if in response to their words, the long-range sensors lit up. A massive fleet of hunter ships had just appeared at the edge of detected range. The real war was about to begin. The first wave of Void Hunters struck like a thunderbolt from the depths of space. Their ships, massive crystalline structures that seemed to absorb light itself, tore through the outer defense line with frightening efficiency. But this time, humanity was ready. From her command position aboard the Hyperion, Diana Frost orchestrated a defense that would have been impossible just months ago. Human ships darted between the larger hunter vessels, their hybrid weapon systems piercing previously impenetrable shields. Alongside them, Veiled One ships phased in and out of reality, striking from impossible angles. "Echo Squadron, execute Pattern Delta," Diana commanded, watching as a group of Earth fighters performed a maneuver that looked like chaos but was actually precisely calculated. "Zix, your fleet has an opening." The Veiled One captain's ships emerged from their dimensional shift directly inside the hunter formation, their weapons blazing. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Void Hunters found themselves facing an enemy that could match their technological advantages. But victory came at a terrible cost. The space around Earth became a graveyard of broken ships and shattered dreams. Each human vessel lost carried hundreds of souls. Each Veiled One ship that fell represented centuries of accumulated knowledge. In the aftermath of the first major battle, Diana stood in the Hyperion's war room with General Chen and Ambassador Kilrix. The holographic display showed the current situation in brutal detail. "We've bloodied their nose," Chen said grimly. "But they'll be back with something new. They've never had to innovate before. Now they will." "Then we innovate faster," Diana replied, studying the tactical overlays. "The hunters have relied on the same strategies for millennia. We need to be unpredictable." Kilrick's moved to the display, its form rippling with intense focus. "My people have observed them for eons. Perhaps it's time we use that knowledge more creatively." The next few weeks saw the implementation of Project Oracle, a joint human-veiled one initiative that combined centuries of observation with humanity's talent for unconventional warfare. Dr. Rajesh Patel, Earth's leading xenotechnologist, worked alongside Veiled One scientists to develop weapons that could target the hunter's fundamental weaknesses. In her rare moments of rest, Diana found herself in the Hyperion's hydroponics bay, watching Earth rotate slowly beyond the reinforced windows. Commander Reed found her there one evening, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "The crew's calling it the long night," he said, handing her a cup. "This wait between attacks." "The hunters aren't used to resistance," Diana replied, accepting the coffee gratefully. "They're rebuilding, rethinking. We've forced them to do something they've never had to do before." "Adapt or die," Reed nodded, "just like us." The next hunter attack came 3 weeks later, and it was unlike anything they'd seen before. The enemy ships had evolved, their hulls now incorporating technology that seemed designed specifically to counter human-veiled one tactics. But humanity had evolved too. As the hunter fleet approached, they encountered something new: dimensional mines developed by Dr. Patel's team, devices that turned the hunter's own phase-shifting technology against them. When the first hunter ship attempted to shift dimensions, it was torn apart by conflicting spatial forces. The battle that followed was different from any before it. Human ships executed maneuvers that would have been impossible months ago, their crews now intimately familiar with both hunter and Veiled One tactics. The Veiled Ones themselves fought with a fury that belied their ancient, careful nature. Diana found herself in the thick of the fighting, the Hyperion's enhanced systems allowing her to coordinate the combined fleet with unprecedented precision. "All ships, execute Thunderbolt Protocol," she commanded, watching as human and Veiled One vessels moved in perfect synchronization. The hunter fleet, for the first time in its long history, showed signs of confusion. Their attempts to adapt to the new tactics were met with even newer ones. Each time they thought they had countered a strategy, the combined fleet shifted to something else. In the midst of the chaos, Diana received an urgent communication from Dr. Patel. "Captain, we've made a breakthrough. The hunters' ships, they're not just machines. They're living technology evolving in response to threat. But that means they can be infected," Diana finished, her mind racing with possibilities. "Get me everything you have, and get me General Chen." Hours later, as the battle reached its crescendo, the first phase of Project Oracle's ultimate weapon was deployed. Microscopic nanobots, designed to infiltrate and corrupt the living technology of hunter ships, were released into the battlefield. The effect was devastating. Hunter vessels began to malfunction, their organic components rebelling against their masters. The tide of battle turned decisively. The hunter fleet, facing an enemy that could not only fight but actively counter their evolutionary advantages, began to retreat. But this wasn't the end. Everyone knew it was just another phase in what would be a long war. In the aftermath, Diana met with Kilrix in the Hyperion's observation deck. The ambassador's form was now permanently solid, a physical representation of the Veiled One's commitment to the fight. "Your species continues to surprise us," Kilrix said, watching as recovery vessels moved through the debris field. "You've taken our defensive technology and turned it into weapons the hunters never imagined possible." "That's what humans do," Diana replied. "We adapt, we innovate, and we never stop fighting, but we couldn't have done this without your people's knowledge." "Perhaps that is the greatest weapon against the hunters," Kilrix mused. "Not our technology or your tactics, but this union of different species, different approaches. They have never faced a truly united opposition before." As if to emphasize the point, A joint fleet of human and veiled one ships passed by the window, their formations perfectly synchronized. They were no longer two species working together. They were becoming something new, something that could challenge even the darkest forces in the galaxy. "The next attack will be worse," Diana said, more statement than question. "Yes," Kilrix agreed. "But for the first time in eons, I believe we have a real chance of victory. The hunters are fighting for conquest. We are fighting for survival, for freedom, for the right of all species to exist in the light." The stars seemed to shine brighter as they spoke, as if the universe itself was witnessing the birth of a new force in the galaxy, one that refused to hide in the shadows. The war room of the Hyperion hummed with tension as Diana Frost studied the latest intelligence reports. 6 months of brutal conflict had changed everything. The Void Hunters, enraged by continued resistance, had abandoned their methodical hunting patterns. They were gathering their forces for one massive assault. "They're calling in every ship from every sector," General Chen announced, his holographic form flickering above the tactical display. "Even abandoning active harvesting operations, our success has forced them to commit fully to this fight." Dr. Patel's team had made another breakthrough. The scientist's eyes were bright with excitement despite his obvious exhaustion. "We've decoded more of their biological technology. The hunter ships aren't just evolving, they're connected. They share a neural network like a hive mind." "A weakness we can exploit?" Diana asked, leaning forward. "Better," Patel replied, "a way to end this war." The plan that emerged was audacious even by human standards. It would require perfect coordination between human ingenuity and veiled one technology, with no margin for error. Diana presented it to the combined fleet command from the Hyperion's bridge. "We're going to turn their greatest strength into their ultimate weakness," she explained, watching faces both human and alien. "Every hunter ship connected to their network is both a strength and a vulnerability. We'll use that connection to deliver our final strike." Zix, now commanding the largest Veiled One battle group, spoke up. "The risk is enormous. If we fail, we'll lose our entire offensive capability in a single battle." "If we don't try, we'll lose anyway," Diana countered. "The hunters are done playing. This next attack will be everything they have." The preparation was intense. Every ship in the combined fleet had to be modified with new systems designed by Dr. Patel's team. The Veiled Ones contributed their most closely guarded technological secrets, while human engineers worked around the clock to integrate everything into a coherent system. Diana found Commander Reed in the Hyperion's engine room, supervising the installations. "How's morale?" "Steady," he replied, checking diagnostic readings. "The crew knows what's at stake, and they believe in this plan. They believe in you." "It's not about me anymore," Diana said, watching engineers from both species working seamlessly together. "It's about proving that the galaxy doesn't belong to those who hide or those who hunt. It belongs to all of us." The hunter attack came at dawn, Earth time. Their fleet emerged from dimensional shift like an army of shadows, more ships than anyone had ever seen in one place. The sight would have struck terror into most species, but humanity had long since moved past fear. "All ships battle positions," Diana commanded from the Hyperion's bridge. "Remember your training, remember why we fight. Execute Operation Daybreak." The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Human ships charged straight into the hunter formation, their hybrid weapons blazing. Veiled One vessels phased in and out of reality, striking with precise coordination. The space around Earth became a storm of energy weapons and dimensional shifts. But this time was different. Each hunter ship destroyed wasn't just a victory, it was part of the plan. Dr. Patel's modified nanobots spread from wreck to wreck, infiltrating the hunter network, waiting for the signal. "We're losing too many ships," Reed reported, as another human cruiser exploded under hunter fire. "Hold the line," Diana ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos. "We need their entire network infected before we can trigger the cascade." Hours passed. The combined fleet took heavy losses, but they maintained their positions with desperate determination. The hunters, sensing victory at last, pressed their attack with increasing ferocity. That's when Diana gave the signal. "Now, Dr. Patel, light them up." The scientist activated the final stage of their plan. The nanobots, now present throughout the hunter fleet, activated simultaneously. But instead of simply disabling ships, they did something unprecedented. They forced every hunter vessel to phase shift at exactly the same frequency as Veiled One technology. The effect was catastrophic for the hunters. Their entire fleet, bound together by their neural network, found itself trapped between dimensions. Ships began to break apart as conflicting physical laws tore at their structure. "All ships clear the area," Diana commanded. "Let their own technology finish this." The combined fleet retreated to a safe distance and watched as the mighty hunter armada tore itself apart. Ships rippled and twisted in impossible ways before finally dissolving into quantum foam. Centuries of predatory dominance ended in a single, brilliant moment of strategic victory. But the cost had been enormous. Half the human fleet was destroyed. The Veiled Ones had lost ancient vessels that had survived millennia. As recovery operations began, Diana stood in silence on the Hyperion's observation deck. Kilrix found her there, its form now permanently solid, a testament to how far the Veiled Ones had come from their hiding nature. "You did what no species has ever done," the ambassador said quietly. "You didn't just survive the hunters, you defeated them." "We did it together," Diana corrected. "Your knowledge, our determination, human courage, and Veiled One wisdom, that's what it took to change the galaxy." As they spoke, ships from other species began arriving in the solar system, civilizations that had hidden for generations, inspired by humanity's stand to finally emerge from the shadows. The galaxy was changing. The age of hiding was over. "What happens now?" Kilrix asked, watching the new arrivals. Diana smiled slightly. "Now we rebuild, we learn from each other, we make sure nothing like the hunters ever threatens free species again." She turned to face the ambassador. "The galaxy's a different place now. Better, I think, because sometimes the greatest victory isn't just defeating your enemy, it's proving there's a better way to live." The stars seemed brighter somehow, as if celebrating the dawn of a new era. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had shown the galaxy that courage was more powerful than fear, that unity was stronger than terror, and that even the darkest shadows could be driven back by those who dared to stand in the light. 1 year after the final battle with the Void Hunters, Earth had become the center of a new galactic renaissance. The skies above the planet sparkled not with weapons fire, but with the ships of a dozen species emerging from centuries of hiding. Diana Frost watched from the Hyperion's newly rebuilt observation deck as diplomatic vessels from across the galaxy arrived for the first galactic concordat. "Ready for your speech?" Commander Reed asked, joining her at the window. Time and combat had left its mark on both of them, but their eyes held the quiet confidence of those who had faced the impossible and prevailed. "As ready as anyone can be when they're about to address representatives from 15 different species," Diana replied, adjusting her formal uniform. "Some of them have been spacefaring longer than humanity has had written language." "And yet they're here because of us," Reed reminded her, "because we showed them another way." The great assembly hall of the Lunar Diplomatic Center was a marvel of combined engineering. Human architecture merged seamlessly with Veiled One-phase technology, creating spaces that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Diana took her place at the podium, facing an audience that would have been unimaginable just 2 years ago. "A year ago, we fought not just for survival, but for an idea," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "The idea that the galaxy belongs not to those who hide, nor to those who hunt, but to all who wish to live in the light." Among the assembled delegates, she saw familiar faces. Dr. Patel, whose technological breakthroughs had made victory possible. General Chen, now heading the new Galactic Defense Initiative. Zix, representing a transformed Veiled One society that no longer hid from its own potential. And Kilrix, whose decision to trust humanity had changed the course of history. The Void Hunters were not just a threat to our survival, Diana continued. They were a shadow over the galaxy's soul, forcing species to choose between hiding and extinction. That shadow is gone now, but our real work is just beginning. She gestured to the holographic display showing the construction of the first intergalactic university, where species would share knowledge freely. We've proven that our differences are not weaknesses, but strengths. Human determination, veiled one wisdom, and now the unique perspectives of every species emerging from the shadows. Together, we are building something unprecedented. The recovery hadn't been easy. Rebuilding fleets, restoring damaged worlds, healing the scars of battle, it all took tremendous effort. But with each challenge, the alliance grew stronger. Species that had hidden from each other for millennia now worked side by side, combining technologies and cultures in ways that pushed the boundaries of possibility. The hunters believed that strength came from dominance, Diana said, her voice firm. We proved that true strength comes from unity, from standing together, from lifting each other up rather than hunting each other down. Reports were still coming in of hunter remnants in distant parts of the galaxy, but they were being dealt with systematically. More importantly, every discovered hunter ship was an opportunity to learn, to understand, and to ensure such a threat could never rise again. We stand at the dawn of a new age, Diana proclaimed. An age where no species needs to hide, where knowledge is shared freely, where the strong protect the weak until they too become strong. This is the legacy of our victory, not just the defeat of an enemy, but the birth of a community. After the ceremony, Diana found herself in a quiet garden chamber with Kilrix. The ambassador's form was now permanently solid, like all veiled ones who had chosen to fully embrace their new role in the galaxy. I remember when you first refused our offer to hide, Kilrix said, watching Earth rotate majestically through the transparent ceiling. I thought your species was either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. And now, Diana asked, smiling slightly. Now I understand that sometimes those are the same thing. Kilrix turned to face her. Your courage changed more than just the military balance of power. It changed how species see themselves, see each other. The galaxy is alive again. They were interrupted by an alert, but not one of danger. A new species had emerged from hiding in the Carina Nebula, requesting contact. Their message was simple. We have watched. We have learned. We choose to stand in the light. Diana felt a profound sense of satisfaction. This was the true victory, not just defeating the hunters, but creating a galaxy where hiding was no longer necessary, where courage was contagious, where standing together was the natural choice. You know what the historians will say, Reed commented as they prepared to welcome the new species. That this was the moment humanity truly came of age. When we didn't just join the galactic community, we helped create a new one. They'll say we were heroes, Diana replied, straightening her uniform. But the truth is simpler. We were just the first to stop running, the first to say enough to the darkness. As the Hyperion prepared to depart for the first contact mission, Diana took one last look at Earth. The cradle of humanity now sat at the heart of a thriving interstellar civilization. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved through nearby space, each one a testament to the power of unity over fear. The stars seemed brighter now, as if reflecting the light of countless species emerging from shadow. Humanity had answered darkness with courage, fear with determination, and isolation with unity. In doing so, they had not just secured their own survival, they had helped forge a galaxy where every species could shine. The age of hunters and hiding was over. The age of light had begun.